Hi everyone, here's the final project that I, Beijing and Heidi developed. So in a nutshell, it's a scenario-based chat simulator that aims to teach middle school students about the risk of identity loss when they go online, especially when they are in public chat room or using chat app to talk with someone they don't know. So each scenario is implemented and delivered through a set of scripted messages and responses, and depending on the response that user choose, the chat conversation will progress and may lead them to negative consequence, such as receiving mean and threatening message or loss of personal and financial info. And we started this project from a very broad and vague idea of teaching cybersecurity, and throughout many brainstorm sessions, we kept narrowing down and refining the initial idea until we reached to a very specific idea of personal identity loss. And then we did a bit research on what educational resources are out there to teach kids about this topic. And we realized that those resources are not very effective, and we think kids may already know about these tips, but they won't take it serious until something bad happens to them. In my teammates Heidi and Beijing, we explain more about the app architecture and functioning in the next part of the video. So now I will just talk a little bit about what I think is my biggest challenge in this project. So when building out the scenarios, we try to make them as authentic as possible, and though it's just a simulator, we want to make the user interaction and experience as close to real as possible. So therefore, I had been doing a lot of fine tuning in the scripted messages and responses, as well as adding the typing animation to mimic the real chat experience.
Okay, hi. So, as Min explained our whole concept, we wanted to kind of actually sort of give you a demo of how this works. The chat, as you can see, looks pretty cute with more pastel looking colors. It's a very simple layout, it's a simple UI. As you can see, our programmed conversational agent, the stranger, ends up speaking, and it's indicated by sort of color, orangey peachy color, and then the user has three choices, and you can pick any of them, any of the three choices. With each choice comes a different set of data architecture and also different set of sort of responses and ending. So let's first start with really, I love to. So this conversational agent asks, "Hi, how are you? I'm Kate from your school." This Kate person obviously is sort of made up, and we're just trying to pretend to be the user's friend. I mean, there are so many people from school, so we're thinking the user would actually fall into this trap, thinking there is a Kate. And if this person says the user actually chooses, I would love to go to this free concert with Kate, then they're gonna say, really, I love to. And in order to, as you saw the typing symbol or typing little icon with dot dot dot, just to show the realistic element, we wanted to make the conversational agent like a real person. So we're giving some time for the conversational agent to think, the chatbot to think. So the chatbot says, "Great, where do you live? I need your address to send you the tickets." This is something that seems like a little bit forward, but we're hoping the user will be smart enough not to give it. So if they say, "Sorry, I can't tell you the address," then how about we meet in person? So we wanted this chatbot to keep pushing for getting private information or to meet the user to show that if you don't protect your privacy online, sort of dangerous and scary situations could occur. And then we can say, "Sorry, I can't meet you there." Okay, the user is pretty knowledgeable that here. So the score indicates 30. I mean, each response has a score sort of assigned to it, and it gets added up, calculated, accumulated to give a final score for the user in terms of the choices that they made. The responses they chose are added up at the end. And if you want to learn more about cybersecurity, you would go to this website. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit of the data structure, the data architecture that goes along with this interface, and then we'll go into each response tag.
Okay. Um, so come back to the code.
Yeah.
So this is how our code looks like. And for the main part, the app tag, we have different functions. So the first we so first our all of our conversation messages are in our Firebase.
Right.
So first thing we need to do is to retrieve those scripted message.
Right.
It's the first function,
Mhm.
and then we need to start our chat. So we first load first two messages, and then we load the response. And based on users' different response, we will give them the different answer and different storylines. And this is and also here we have a function like to add the score together. We have two different types of message. The first is script message, which is created by the computer. And also there's the second type is user created. This is based on users' response. And then with all their response, we give them the property like user created, and then we can add them together to have the score as the result. And also, this part is how we can link the message and conversation together. So if we come back to see our data structures, so the first two are just script message, and then for each message we have different responses, and there are four different properties like need input, and also the next. It will link if they choose this response, they will link it to the different next script message, and also there's a score and also the text. And for the result, if they go to the different endings, we will give them different like media property. For example, some scared pictures, or I use your Visa, use your credit card, or some. Yeah, they have different endings. So this is how our data structure looks like, and we will go into more detail about the different tags.
So as you can see, this app tag, it has message tag, response tag, and score report tag, which isn't functioning right now. We'll explain that in the challenges. So the message tag, which is embedded in to the app tag, basically we talked about how we had scripted and user created messages. So scripted, as you can see here, and then user created. The message tag isn't complicated in terms of it being already sort of constructed within the data structure of Firebase. The response tag is where we talked about how each had score element to it, or the property to it, to the message variable. And so here we have this hooked up, the score, as well as in the app tag, if you look at how it has the score part here, it gets added up, and the console retrieves the final or calculates the final score and is able to show it to the user. Here, there's a delay because we wanted it to come at the very end. It kept on, at the beginning when we were programming, it kept on coming at the beginning of the whole chat process. Whenever they would click on the first response, it popped up, and we didn't want it to pop up yet. It needed to be at the very end, so this whole code was added to be able to have the delayed portion of it for the final calculation.
And also in terms of the score, in our Firebase we have another category as the dialogue. So for this, we didn't make a login, but every time when a user start this project, they will have a key,
Right.
and inside this key, there it will log all their conversation, their dialogue in here. So so we can add all the scores from here. So each key stands for one time when a user use our project. Yeah.
Okay. And then,
Okay.
so we'll look at our response tag. That's what we were talking about, the score, and how every time the user ends up utilizing the response choices, it gets sort of embedded or it gets recorded as a key within our Firebase data structure. And we do want to talk about the challenges because we wanted to make this more comprehensive. And that was the point at the beginning of trying to have data manipulation, which Being will talk about. But before she does, I will explain just the score report. So at the very end, it was supposed to give a credit report like sheet for the scores of the users. If you know anything to do with credit reports in the US, they give you like a score and then say you're good standing, you're average, whatever, you're bad. And so we kind of wanted to do that with our users as well, give them a score report of their cybersecurity knowledge. It didn't really end up getting toggled very well, even though the button was made, it didn't reflect on the actual app tag. So I'm still trying to figure this out myself, and this was sort of a challenge that we would like to continue to be able to solve if we were to sort of progress with this type of project.
And also for the response tag, actually we want to make a function that enable users to create their own messages. For example,
Oh yeah, we can show.
if they choose for example, here they can input their own address. Like for example, I live at some places, but we have some bugs because those text areas showing every answers. So this is also something we can improve in the future.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.